awesome.
This is how we roll.
This is 97.9, the BOX.
And there she is. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
good morning, my trill people. You know I'm kind of old, Terry. So I was really trying to figure out how do I jump on the live with you. I got to get better with that. That's the only thing I got to get better. I just had to call my daughter in like, hey, help me kind of get on live.
Oh, it's all good.
Good morning,
So happy
everybody.
to see you.
Thank you. Happy to see you too.
So,
Hey, everybody.
yeah, we got a lot of people popping in here excited about the conversation. And as you know, the series is called The Business Behind the Music, and you and I have so many conversations about the business.
Ooh, if people only knew, like that's why I know you're like a very meek person. You always want to stay in the cuts, kind of like me, but you give me such solid advice. And to me, I want to thank you for doing free game because people need free game. I need it sometimes when I'm talking to you, just throwing out suggestions. So I appreciate you a bunch for this.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and dive in. I mean, obviously, a lot of people, first and foremost, know and relate to you because you're Mrs. Butler, you know, Pimp C, and that relationship. But one thing that I also want people to understand is that you're a businesswoman. You've always been a businesswoman, and you've always had a lot of business inside the business. So talk a little bit about your personal background in the business and some of the things that you've been involved with from a business aspect.
Well, first, even how me and Chad met, some of my friends, Dory, DMD, they used to, I'm a studio rat for one, so I love music. I love to give my input, you know, I'm kind of harsh, but it's just, I mean, no harm,
Love it.
you know, so I'm always there like, nah, that ain't jam, that's not what it is. So, I told him that like a couple of years ago. I never thought that I would be using a lot of tools and things that I was just around. I'm a product of my environment. Even like let him rest in peace, Andre Harrell. I actually met them. They came to Port Arthur. You know when A&Rs used to really come to
Yeah.
cities, and I actually met him through Dora and him. So music always in my background. Nursing is my original love, so I'm just a nurturing person. But as far as with the music, after Chad passed, I had to negotiate a UGK deal. The next thing that I knew I needed to do, because me and Chad always discuss business and what's the next step, what we doing next. It was my major publishing. So I signed a major publishing deal. And then I went to putting several projects. Anything that people hear Chad on, it's me clearing it from the Juicy J's, the Wiz Khalid, ASAP Rocky, RP Yams. That's my boy. I love that song too. Wavy Bones. I posted that not too long ago. They're like, "What song is that?" And it's on ASAP Rocky song. So with me just dealing with the merchandise, coming music, I think this is something I really would like to express. I always thought it was a lack of us in the hip hop business doing merchandise. I sat with some of my good friends in Charlotte, and they showed me how much money they were making in merchandise. And I'm like, why are we not doing this? So I really, even before Chad passed, we had came up with different brands. We wanted to drop umbrellas, all kind of different things. So I think that's very important to actually have merchandise when your music isn't selling. There's only so many records they can buy. But if you have a lot of different merchandise, shirts and different things, you can still stay relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So between the music, I jumped in the cannabis business too, because Chad trademark smoke something, and I'm Jamaican, so it just goes well. We got a THC infused barbecue sauce. We have our own oil, and a few other products that's coming later on this year. So I'm a little everywhere, from the merchandise, the music, to the cannabis, publishing. Publishing is my love now. I think publishing rules the world. For one, you can't you can't have a commercial without music. Um, Even when movies didn't have people were even talking, they still Charlie Chaplin, they still had music
That's right.
to actually, set the tone. So from video games, it just keeps going on and on. TV commercials, movies, the list. So I'm really loving publishing, and it took me a while to understand it because it's like speaking a foreign language
Can,
when you
can,
get into the publishing.
can we dive into that a little bit more? Because I think that's a key area. So, and I even, when we talked about this a little bit, is that, okay, so right now the touring business is a halt, right? So nobody's out here safely, right? Really, like all these tours, Toyota Center not popping, Smart Financial not popping, Warehouse Live not popping. So all of these tours have been put to a halt for good reason, because, we need to be safe, we need to be well. So that's a huge revenue stream for a lot of artists, especially independent artists as well. But having your publishing together, that's a check that keeps on coming, because one thing that hasn't stopped during this time, people are still consuming music. They're still streaming, they're still YouTubing, they're still listening to the radio, they are still downloading and consuming music. So having
Even more.
even more, right?
Even more, yeah. To be honest, I think I always encourage, and I don't want to name drop, but first time I met ASAP Rocky, we was in New York, and Corey Mo was at a studio, and I had them meet me over there, and he said, "Chinara, I'm going to produce my second project," and I was like, "I like you," because I understand splits. 50% of my music is going to go to the producer. Then you know what you could do with that music behind it. So artists that didn't, I find it a little. I'm just a little. It's how can I say this? Because I don't want to sound condescending, but I'm always curious why artists that's mature artists. I'm not going to call us older. Mature artists or veterans haven't learned to produce a chord or something, because as we see right now, if you're just performing, you're probably hurt really bad.
That is a brilliant point. One of the things that I admire about some artists is that no matter how veteran, how long that they've been in the business, they continue to elevate and push themselves. I think that a person can be naturally gifted. You may be a naturally gifted singer. You may be a naturally gifted rapper. So if you sing, if you rap, why wouldn't you learn how to play an instrument? Why wouldn't you learn how to make a beat? Why wouldn't you learn how to elevate your craft? I take it from the basic. If you're a singer, doesn't matter how naturally gifted you are, why wouldn't you take vocal lessons so that you can really learn how to use your instrument? One of the, you got to learn breathing, and a lot of times you'll see singers, and we've seen this. You'll see singers that have amazing voices that cannot sustain through an entire tour because they've never learned how to use their instrument. So they're having vocal problems, and now they need vocal rest and all this because they didn't learn how to. They have it; it's beautiful, but they haven't learned how to use it. So I'm always curious as to why people don't, as an artist, as a creative, why wouldn't you want to learn the music part? And why do you want to be just the rapper or the singer? And a great example of that was the Queen of Soul, may she rest in peace, Aretha Franklin, who up to the time, before she got ill, piano lessons, singing lessons, piano lessons, singing lessons, her entire life. To the point where there was an award show one year where a famous opera singer by the name of Luciano Pavarotti was supposed to sing. He became ill at the last minute. Aretha Franklin came out and blew everybody away because she did Ave Maria opera, and it was flawless, and everybody's jaw was on the floor because it was unexpected. They're like, well, you don't do that type of music, because that's, you have to have a lot of control and range and all that. And then she's like, oh, yes, but I do, because I take vocal lessons, I take piano lessons. So why not? Why do you think more artists are not learning more about the actual craft?
I think a little bit of complacent to a certain extent, and I can easily say these things too because I don't rap.
Mm-hmm.
So my job also, like you said, what I do, I always watch even Chad, and I'm like, okay, I don't rap, so I watch how you make money, how y'all don't make money. I can critique because I'm, to the side, but I still don't think it's an excuse because I've met too many artists. Okay, and for instance, Terry, like I'm different. You remember? Doom, doom, doom.
Yeah.
That was probably his kid. She probably got producer credit. That was like, that's a chord. You
Right.
hit it every time they started. You would get residuals 75 years to life. That's my next thing. There's no excuse really. Because if you get residuals 75 years to life, why wouldn't you? Why would you just leave it as far as just doing your music when even recently I've signed, gonna say how many, but I've signed a bunch of clearances. One recently is just Chad not even saying anything, it's just his beat. And it derived from another producer, a producer you sampled him, but see, since he produced it, I still get residuals for it. Anything, in this is a quick little lesson. Anything like a producer actually produce and somebody else use it, even if they change the beat, it's automatically 20 to 30% is yours already because it derived from your beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I have no clue because I got production credits. My daughter got production credits.
Right. I mean, it's smart business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
y'all were, I think the thing too is like a lot of times, and I know when people are very young, it's hard to think way into the future, but I think the beauty of your story, or one of the beautiful parts of it, is that, it was building a legacy for the family as well. So, when you are thinking ahead and including and making sure that, okay, yeah, like my wife's going to have some producer credit because you have some input there. Your daughter had some input and got producer credit. And so now, God rest in peace for Chad. And we know he's watching us from heaven. But in the meantime, in between time, y'all did a good job of trying to set your family up, So that to me is the gift that keeps on giving, on the publishing side of things. So would you recommend for someone who's starting out, what are some key things when you're meeting an artist who's talented but really trying to get in the game? What are a couple of key things that you sort of your Chinara standard pack of, hey, you got to be aware of this, this, and this? What would that be?
Aware. First of all, I would advise you to get a good attorney for one. Always need a good attorney. It's a lot of, we're not going to even call names, but certain people have speculations on certain people cases and certain things, and really nobody, even like me and you, Terry, I've been looking at contracts. Terry been on 13 years. I just looked at a song and I'm like, dang, I signed this 13 years ago. 13 years. I understand my contracts because I've always sat down and I've always been a little bit different. And maybe that's why I agitated certain people, which didn't care, because I want a good understanding. Yeah. And a lot of time artists say, hey, okay, this deal is done. Okay, let me sign it. And I'm like, okay, what does this part mean? This seems like I understand this, but I don't really understand it. I think it's no dumb question. When I first actually started I wanted to meet all the check writers. I need to know who writing the checks. Even ASCAP and BMI. I was dumbfounded. I know about ASCAP and BMI, but I wanted to know what the difference was. And I went to meet Mr. Levi. He cut the checks from BMI, explained to me, blah, blah, blah. So I think you should always ask questions. You should always have a solid mentor. Because Terri, you're like one of my mentors. I have David Banner as one of my mentors for certain things. Chameleon there is one of my mentors. You need to, at least if you can, and you have somebody in the industry, have a mentor. Be aware. Don't be so eager. Don't be so eager. Like, when it's your time, it's your time. And patience. Oh, this business don't teach you patience. I don't know what it is. Patience, and get accustomed to hearing no. Because I've actually cleared a song for one of YG artists because he accepted my no. He ain't getting his feelings. He just came back hard as hell, Terry. I was like, nope, don't like the title of the song. Title of the song is whack. Not caring for the song. And the publishing company asked me, like, what should be changed? And I was like, if I tell you, then I should be doing it. So I tell my producers that too, because I'm always in the mix, but I don't like messing with people's creativity. So I stay back. I might give my input. This is kind of what I want. And then I let them do them. And do you know he came back? He changed the title. He put Project Pat on there. I was like, yeah. So acceptance, you're going to hear some no's. I heard no's so many times. I'm going to tell you the truth. I bugged the shit out of Juicy. For the longest, you know me, Terry. You know I got ideas, right?
Yep.
Oh, I got ideas. So I hit him, I think, with so many different ideas. So one of them hit him and he like, hey, this could be huge. And I'm like, yeah, but we'll have to do it again because this train gone. So I think getting the right person attention, being persistent, but doing it in a tasteful way. You know, doing it in a tasteful way.
I was just going to ask about that because, you know, I get hit up all the time. I know you get hit up all the time, you know. What is the best way, in your estimation, to approach somebody? Because, like, you and I both heard the, I'm hot, you gonna know me, I'm hot. And I'm like, okay. You know, and then sometimes when you do say no, or, hey, I don't think this is ready right now, or it's too early for this conversation, there's more like grassroots you need, or there's more this you need, you know, oftentimes you do get hit back with, whoop, somebody cop, well, screw you then, you know, that whole type of vibe. So, you know, what is a respectful way, in your opinion, for somebody to try to approach someone?
I think there's a chain of command, for one. Mostly all of us have managers, which I want to say too, some of y'all need to kind of check y'all managers, because yeah, my manager stay on it. Sherelle is a pit bull on it. So I think you should always, because it's so much stuff like on a daily basis that we're dealing with, especially right now. Everybody's in the studio doing music. My brain is so, right now I want to be working on 3 songs, finishing merchandise, some other stuff. So I think the chain of command, definitely hitting the manager, say, hey, I want to present myself, blah, blah, blah. Or even their assistant, if you're able to, you know, but do it in a tasteful way. People go, they do the most. Somebody cussed me out and called me an uppity bitch because I didn't listen to their tag. And I was like, sir, this is not the way to get my attention, okay? So, you know?
It's the way to get blocked, sir.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Hit the block button for a reason.
You got blocked, but now you got my attention, just not the right one.
Yeah.
So I think also when you're approaching somebody, I even tell this to producers. I ain't gonna say names, but certain producers actually get mad at me because they can't work with other producers. Dude, where is your leverage? Where's your leverage? Like, you need to be coming to the table, especially if you're approaching somebody that's already kind of on. I think you need leverage. Like I said, I was hitting Juicy. I wasn't hitting them, hey, can you help me? No, I was pitching ideas. Hey, this might work. What about doing this? So I think you need to find your leverage when you're approaching somebody and pitch it. Pitch your leverage.
There's a really good book that I recommend for people, and it's a business book. It's short, it's easy to understand. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And one of the principles in the book is that every relationship needs to have balance. So, for example, I may come to Chinara for some advice on something. Hey, Chinara, I'm needing some assistance with this. And she's an expert in that area. So Chinara is well equipped to offer if she decides to. But I'm not coming to Chinara with just, I need some advice. I'm coming also with and I can do this for you in return. And even if it's nothing more than, you know, hey, I'll come and mow your grass every day for 4 weeks because that's all I can offer to you, then at least it's, you know, you're considering that there's balance in the universe and everything is give and take. A lot of times in the music business, there's so much take. And then we see our peers who are givers and have given so much, and eventually they burn out. Or you as
They get billion.
you burn out.
They get billion.
Yeah, you got 50 people in your camp you're trying to take care of. They all take. Nobody's giving. And then all of a sudden, as an artist, you burning out. You talking about, I'm taking a break, I'm retiring, I'm, whatever. Because
I hear that all the time.
it's too
Yeah, and you know what? I think just in business, I practice both parties need to be happy. If both parties don't feel like they got something from it, that's bad business. I'd rather not do it. I'll miss all money, not good money.
Right.
So if I feel like I'm very direct to, hey, this is what we could do. This is what I'm thinking we could do. Not sure if we can, but these are suggestions. And I want to see if it's going to be worth, like what me and you talked about earlier this week. I wanted to hear from you that this wasn't just something I wanted to do, but something that would help both parties.
Right.
And get your advice on it. I was like, okay, because I never want to approach anybody, especially when people are hot. You don't want to, it's too many people, like you said, just pulling on them. So I don't call people unless it's about money. So that's why everybody answers my phone calls too. Usually about making money or some kind of money idea.
This is what I want you to talk about, because I think this especially pertains to you. This statement, I'm going to make this statement because I think you embody this. You have to teach people how to treat you in the game.
Ooh, yes, Lord. Yes. And you don't always have, you're probably not going to be the most liked all the time. And you know what I can say, who else embodied? Beyonce, because like us, we were taught with manners and to treat people a certain kind of way. And in this business, it's not always beneficial for you. You'll be burned out. So you learn how to keep your distance from certain people. So everybody's not accessible anymore. I've learned the hard way. I like people, but I can't be accessible to everybody. And I'm not going to approach you with something that I wouldn't want you to approach me with. And the next, like you said, the next thing too is you just gotta be fair with people. Even though this is not a fair business, but this is how you build these relationships. And let me tell you, relationships are worth more than any kind of money any kind of money. It'll walk you through doors that you couldn't even imagine. So building those relationships and being solid with people, to me, is the thing. You can't be solid with everybody, and you don't need to deal with everybody either.
Right.
I'm definitely that.
I like the fact that you use the word build relationships, because I think oftentimes you might meet with someone. So let's say somebody meets you today, like I met you. And in their head, they're thinking, oh, we have a relationship now. And it's like, well, no.
No, that's not how it works.
Are developed over time. Relationships are developed through seeing consistency from an individual and then learning to offer some trust in that, right? I mean, I think people get it confused. We hear a lot of the name drop thing because somebody might have met you or met whomever, right? The famous person, you, whoever, but I met you, so we have a relationship. But then, the other thing is the people need to understand the business is this big. So if you're saying you have a relationship with the person, you must understand that it's easy to follow up to see what that relationship really is. And you will blow your credibility to overestimate your relationship with someone.
Oh, every day. Because I definitely check with everybody. I don't actually even post pictures of people that I know. If you notice that, unless I'm at an event, I don't post. We're in the studio, I don't post. I'm kind of private on who I know, but I've been 13 years. I've been moving around pretty good. I think I'm a G too. We move in silence.
That's right.
So, yeah, you can't tell. Yeah, there's no need for everybody to know who I know or what we doing or what we eating in the studio or whatever. Yeah,
no. Not
that serious. And I think also for people in the business, I think that's trying to come in. Don't fake. Don't be fake. Just keep it all the way real. Be who you are. Right now, somebody want to hear you. It might not be me, might not be Terry, but somebody else might want to hear you. So just do you. Because I'm more than sure they didn't think like the little Nas song, the country song. They didn't think it was gonna blow up like that.
That's true.
So do you. Just do you. That's the next advice. And yeah, don't act like you got a relationship with people that you don't. Because then you're not gonna have any.
I'm scrolling through here. I see a few questions. This is the one from a little earlier from Sankofa Music. Wearing multiple hats. Should people, artists, incorporate their kids' family to learn an instrument to keep the process moving? So if you're an artist, would you have your kids learn an instrument or a producer?
My daughter plays the trumpet. She's going to Grambling. Yay. So I think it's always, I'm okay with kids. I'm a little funny about throwing kids in the music business because I see it eat up adults. I've known childhood kids, and I'm not gonna say a name either because it go viral every once in a while, and it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart to see them like that because they go through so many different things that adults don't. Little boys want to prove to the whole world that they're men,
Right.
so they act out and start doing that thing. The girls start, it's life is already for kids. Life is tricky already.
Yeah.
So I actually, what I did with my daughter is I brought her on a passenger side with me, and it's not easy. Most of the time, it was super, super hard. And she thought she wanted to be an artist before. And I think maybe about 5 or longer years ago, she was like, "Mom, I think I probably just want to play my music, produce, maybe even write, but not up front." She's seen too much. She's seen what it does to adults. So I think you should always teach your kids the business. My attorney I just finished talking to her about that. I think you should teach your family the business as well, because none of us is promised. I say, for me and Chad, he really couldn't have did nothing else because, like, even setting up life insurance, we were doing it for our parents. Not saying we weren't thinking about us, but he was just getting out of jail. So certain things weren't even an option for us, to get life insurance. They're not trying to give, somebody just got out of jail life insurance. So I think you should also teach your family the business, because if I wasn't just naturally curious on, hey, well, what is this and what does this do? And you just bring me to the studio. I knew how to record Chad. We recorded stuff in the house. Anywhere we went, he didn't really need anybody to record him. So I think you should teach them the business, because we're not promised. We don't live long either in this industry. So I think it would be very smart for your kids to know what's even theirs.
Yeah, I think that's wise. Your child may not want to be in the business, but at some point when we're not here, you're leaving behind the legacy of what you built. And if that child doesn't understand the workings of how it works, then the legacy that you're leaving behind, it's going to fall apart. So I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And specifically regarding the instruments, like I'm blessed to have 2 god kids, and for a few years I sponsored music lessons for them. I think that music lessons, it wasn't that I thought they were going to be an artist. I just feel like learning music, if there's an interest there, it helps them in school. It helps with math. It helps certain things. So, I'm an advocate of letting your child try things that they're interested in, not force feeding the business. I'm with Chinara. We've seen so many young people, and they try to get you in the business so young and make you look like an adult, and you haven't even finished being a child, and you have all this responsibility, and now you're the breadwinner for your family and all of these pressures, and and now you're getting into places you shouldn't even be in, because you're an artist, so you're at the club, but you're 16, and it's just way too much. So I always say proceed with caution when it comes to children, on that.
Unless you have like a usher.
Yeah.
I see Chris Brown mama around a lot too. Chris Brown mama is very advocate. Seen her a lot.
Kiki Palmer is
Brandon. I'm like Brandon mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, Brandon mama. And you know what? Rest in peace, Miss Holly.
Yeah.
When I met Miss Holly, I was like, oh man, your mom. Then we had hazel eyes. We vibe, me and Miss highly vibe. So if you have a parent, if your child wants, you need to be there. You need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So unless you want to be one of them moms, then I would just like let them watch, let them at least grow to be adult, let them be able to stand up for themselves, because this business is it's a lot of D-bows out there. It's the Wild Wild West.
It is. I always say
Yeah,
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
that's what it is.
Okay.
It
We
is
have
what it is.
a question from D. Lovely, 1969. Recommendations on entertainment attorneys. How do you find a good attorney, Chinara?
Ooh, good question. And let me tell you something. Let me say this too. For all artists, even artists right now, no one says this. I have an attorney, Shay Lawson. I can't say. She have a bunch of different clients. She got Grammy producers, Offset, but specifically, I know me and Offset use her for the same thing. We have her watch all our other attorneys. I have from licensing a whole group of licensed attorneys. I have a realtor attorney, a state attorney, an attorney. She watches. I think you should always have a lawyer to watch your other lawyers. No one says that, but I think you should do it. That's been the best thing for me, because then it's like you can see what's going on. If my manager's on this, my attorney's on this attorney's on this, I can easily see where anything went wrong. And it's hard sometimes because it took me and Sherelle about 3 to 4 years to find somebody that actually got, because I'm a bit much. I want to do everything. So she have to, talk me down sometimes. So I would ask certain people like me. I can advise certain people to different attorneys in different states, and it depends what state you're in. And also, this is where I messed up from the get-go. Well, they were first with Chad firm. The attorneys we had only can practice in California. So happened that they reached out to an attorney in Texas for me, and it happened to be one of my friends. And I was like, he was like, "Are you working with them?" And he was like, "I was just making sure." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So that's another thing. Make sure that your attorney can practice in certain states, maybe that you bounce around, because my attorney can practice in a couple of different states.
Right. I think that's a misunderstanding about attorneys, that you think that they can practice nationwide, but unless they've achieved the credentials, you have to get the credentials, because every state has nuances of laws and there's different rules. So, that's very valuable advice. So if you're someone who may be based here in Texas, but you can foresee, I'm going to do business in Atlanta, I'm going to do business in St. Louis, New York, and California, and your attorney can't move around.
Because what they're going to do is just waste your money. They're going to charge you to go get an attorney in your state.
Right.
And I learned that. I was like, man, I could just paid you instead of.
Yeah.
So that I like to give certain things where I made mistakes where I wouldn't want anybody else. Because that's something else in the music industry that I can't stand. It seems like the initiation is purity. Watch people just get fucked. Excuse my friend.
No.
That's horrible. It's like watching a kid run across the street. You don't stop him because that's not your kid. You kind of messed up.
Right.
So anytime I make a mistake or I see somebody else make a mistake, hey, you might want to back up and do this. So also build a great relationship with your attorney after that. Because I'm going to weddings for my attorney. I'm in there. Even with my state attorney, I built, again, building relationships. You have to learn. Some people don't know how to do it. And somebody might need to write a book on really how to authentically build relationships. Just be authentic, you know what I mean? And ask questions and think about people, if it's their birthday or something like that. Just some little kind gestures.
That's one of the things that I find myself coaching people on a lot, is really how to network. I always say your network is your network, and most people go about it wrong. So I'm going to put that in my head, and we'll make sure that we talk about that more. You know, like,
It is tricky, it is tricky because some people are intimidated by certain artists, on how to approach it. So again, I think the best way, my husband was different. So people approach him at the gas station, Walmart, he don't care. He would listen to him. Everybody else quite not like that.
yeah,
So I think to me, going through the chain of command, they manager, if you get on a manager long enough, you ain't getting on their nerves, you get on the manager and say, man, this artist is really blah, blah, blah. Don't just send people music. If you do it in a live way. Like when we were talking about when we were doing the contest. Your dog like my dog. I'm glad they ain't making noise. This one took so long.
DJ.
Everybody sleep. Everybody sleep. I'm glad nobody moved yet. So I think you should learn how to be creative. There's so much technology these days that you can QR codes to put it on certain things where, you can pass it to somebody and they don't have, everybody got a smartphone. They can just zap your thing. I think being creative, people always catch my attention when they're creative. I'm here for creativity.
I love it. Here's a good question. Not necessarily forcing, but if a person shows interest and wants to help you in your career, should you involve them or hire a professional?
From my personal experience, I've had the biggest account firm. I've had the Shapiro firm. I've had the biggest people, anything you can think of. My personal opinion is I decided to build my own team. Like I said, it took me a while to find my attorney, and I knew she'd be able to work with my manager. I went through managers. I went through managers. I went through several of them. So don't be scared to fire people too, because sometimes it's just not working out. I think you also should give people, this is the next thing too. Let me say how you do this too. Okay. First mistake I see artists do is try to go get a manager. The wrong thing to do. First of all, the definition of a manager is that their job is to provide business opportunity. Now, if people don't know your brand, how are they going to provide business opportunity? I think a lot of people should start looking at branding managers, maybe a young one that's getting out of college that's eager, because they get paid a bunch, but a branding manager is something that I don't hear anybody saying either. Why?
First time somebody's met. So explain to me what you mean by a branding manager. How would you define that?
Okay, I'm gonna give you layman's version or my little analysis. Okay. McDonald's. If you go to Japan and you don't speak Chinese or Japanese, and you go to China, you don't speak Chinese, and you see them golden arch, that's branding.
Yeah.
That's branding. When you don't speak the language and you know it. So a branding manager would really come in, focus on what your goal is. They'll get you in order. Hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do step by step. How we going to build your brand up. Who can we collaborate maybe with? Branding managers a lot of times have their own connections as well, and they can utilize your connections and their connections, because that's what I did. Sherelle was a publicist, and I was just like, everybody, like on the magazine and the writing part, I know everybody on the music part. I just need you to be a branding manager. And she's very serious. She's very on point. She's like you. Let's itemize, let's get this down to a list and say, what's the best use of your time? Because a lot of times we wasting our time doing a bunch of nothing, So I think the branding manager is key to really for people to know you even exist, to know you exist.
I think that's so smart, because first of all, you have to be able to understand what your brand is. And I think a lot of people miss the mark there. I always tell people, and this is on a personal, spiritual level and a business level, the most important journey you can go on in your life is the journey of self-discovery. And if you don't know how to clearly define your brand, then you're going to find yourself taking a lot of wrong turns. So, three cool principles or three questions you need to be able to answer yourself regarding your brand. Who are you? What do you do? Why does it matter? And that why does it matter is essential. Who are you? What do you do? Why does it matter? You have to be able to clearly answer that, and then you build the infrastructure around it. To me, the more understanding that you have of what your brand is, what it stands for, the better decisions you'll make, because you won't allow yourself to get distracted. A brand manager, to me, is that person that says, well, that doesn't really fit in with the brand. And that's a separate thing, and we don't need to tackle that right now because we're building this brand. Now, we all, there's a lot of creatives in the chat here. You're creative, I'm creative. We're idea people.
Yeah.
So write down your ideas, sure. When you get that moment of inspiration, write them down and put them in a drawer. Oftentimes we get distracted because we try to do too many things at the same time, and we get off course and we get nothing accomplished. So if you can focus on one brand, build that one brand, make that successful so that it could run itself, you can hire a team and it's sort of whatever, then you can branch off. Like, everybody wants to be Oprah, but everybody forgets the process that it took to be Oprah. She started with one thing and then hugely successful and then was able to branch off. So a brand manager is fascinating. The other thing that I want to throw out too, and this is where I think, thinking back to your comment about somebody just out of college or someone in college, someone who's sort of young, really understands technology, is capturing content. How important do you think it is for artists to capture content, to be able to remix, put together video or whatever? How important do you think that is?
I think it's adamant at this point in time. Look, we're all locked in. Everybody has phones. Everybody wants visuals. Everybody want to see you. Even though I suck at that, I'm going to get better, people. But I think definitely, yeah, because I mean, like, why don't you take pictures? Because I know what I look like. But I know you need to do this. You need to produce content. You need to. It gives you, people feel like they personally know you too. Because they kind of are getting to know you. They're getting to know your thoughts on, hey, if you're funny, or if a lot. It's so many things that it's another way for people to be relatable. You could be relatable to other people, and that's something people have to understand too. You want to be relatable. Like, who don't want to be relatable? Like, that's how you get fans. Like, I like her because she remind me of me.
That's
So I think content is definitely, you have to. It's a must. It's a must. You can't really do anything these days without content.
Yeah. I want to shout out Beat King, who's in here.
Beat King!
Beat King says, if you sample Pimp C without permission, Chinara's lawyer popping up.
Lord, they don't smell my perfume. They don't smell my perfume. We already know it. Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with that action.
Yeah.
Speaking is crazy. See, and again, getting to know all kind of different, those relationships with different producers. You know what? Let me say this too. You want me to tell you my other, I think secret weapon is? Every studio I go to, no matter where it is, I don't care if I go to California, Atlanta, anywhere, I get to know the engineers. Everybody be so under the producers and the artists. And what people don't realize is engineers, it starts and ends with music, with the engineer. And if somebody doesn't mix and master your project right, it's going to be a shitty project. And they know when artists are doing stuff. So they always inform me. I love engineer. Everybody ignores the engineer. Everybody, I notice when I go to studios, everybody ignores it. And I know all of them. Like, hey, I'm like Norm from Cheers with most of them. Like, oh, ain't seen you in a while. I think that's something else. I think people focus on the wrong people too. Focus on the wrong people.
That's brilliant advice. It's like, it's the old analogy. I remember, you've probably seen this on Instagram. It's the one where the professor gives the test and he says, there's one question to get you an automatic 100. What's the name of the janitor? and nobody knows the name of the janitor is because you're not paying attention to everybody that's in the room. And I think, to your point, real G's move in silence, one. Number two, I also think that you never know where your next help can come from. You don't. And a lot of times, you're overlooking people who have the ability to put your name in rooms you don't get to be in. Example. So let's talk the engineer analogy. So there's an engineer works out of a particular studio. A lot of people come through that studio. You've taken time to build with that particular engineer. And so let's say, let's say Jay-Z come in the studio. He's in Houston. He's in the studio and he's like, man, I could use somebody for whatever. The engineer knows you and says, wait a minute, let's call Chinara because she's got blah, blah, blah. And I can get her on the phone right now and get her over here. So never overlook people who might be your next plug. It's the receptionist at the radio station, being courteous and kind. And it's not about coming in there looking like, well, what can you do for me? And can you do it right now? It's about recognizing each other as human beings, giving people the respect of a hello, how are you? And then understanding when you're coming into a location and you're seeing the same people over and over and over and over, those people are getting to see the people you don't get to see. There's a movie called Wall Street. It's an old movie. It's got like Charlie Sheen in it. I'm a movie person. And he was trying to get to Michael Douglas, the big wig, the big guy. It's like trying to get up here to the head person, right? And so what he did was he just kept building a relationship with the receptionist. And eventually the receptionist went in there and got him in there. And once you get in the room now, you got to have your stuff together, man. You get in that room, you better have your stuff together, because that engineer or that receptionist or that person sitting here thinking about you will never recommend you again because their reputation will be shot. So have your stuff, stay ready, but build and see
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when I go to 97.9, I know everybody.
Yes,
I didn't realize that when I was there. I was like, everybody in here. But it's like, I think you definitely don't look down on people.
Yeah.
Don't look down. Not in, I guess it's still into business, behind the business, but it's a young man that Alicia Keys produced, Hustle.
Mm-hmm.
It's an HBO show. And he reminded me of our concierge, Westheimer. Brilliant people. See the people bypass. And they meet everybody.
Yep.
And guess what? They even go in our houses. So we trust them on top of that. Mm-hmm. It's a certain trust level. So you just can't look down on people. You should be cordial with everybody. And like you said, you never know. You never know where it's coming from.
That's right. Sicko Me's got a good question. Should you drop a visual before releasing your song on all platforms? What's your opinion?
I would do it at the same time.
Same.
I think it would be a waste of time. You're going to have to pay to promote two different, kill it, knock it all out one time. Just go for the 1-2 punch, come through with some merchandise after that, come up with a little challenge to see everybody else doing challenges with their song. No, you got to come in with the 1-2 punch with a few other things behind it. Music's just not gonna sell. Like I said, you have to, it's a lot. It's just not about music, because I hear great artists all the time, and y'all probably not gonna never hear them.
Yeah.
So it's not just about music, it's about your execution. That's kind of what I call Terri for too, execution. How should I lay this out? How I get the maximum of what I'm about to do, how I'm gonna drop this. And you got to start being creative. Stop looking at, this is the next thing that kind of get on my nerves. Everybody look at this dumbass blueprint to get into the music business. And the percentage is like 1 to 99. So why the hell do everybody go through that same stupid blueprint? Why don't you change it up? Do something a little bit different. Different yourself, just really, then like you said, by knowing yourself, you can push yourself to somebody else. I didn't just want to do weed. I know me and Chad like barbecue. Every other nationality like barbecue. That was one of his favorite things. Why not do a THC infused barbecue sauce? Not just weed. Weed is everywhere. Same thing with music. So do something to add a little something to it, a little twist.
I think sometimes, you know, we all know imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but I think sometimes we're too focused on it and afraid. I mean, that comes from fear, right, Shanara? So if I'm going to go out
Exactly.
here and be different, you know, you have to be willing to go through the fact that everybody's not going to rock with or understand where you're coming from. But it's about finding the people that will rock with you. You love on those people. They'll bring more people to the party. You love on those people, and then you build a fan base. Movements were created because people were bold enough to step out as individuals. I was
Exactly.
programming music on Magic last night, Magic 102, and I saw Missy Elliott. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't played Missy in a second, this song, particular record. And I thought about Missy, and I was like, Missy created a whole movement. Andre Harrell, may he rest in peace, but I put this quote on my Instagram, without Andre Harrell's chapter, hip hop and R&B is not the same. You know, it's a level of
No.
influence that this person had in creating a particular sound for or being the conduit to create a particular sound for a particular time. So don't be afraid. I say dare to be different. You know, if it's
That.
authentic to you, don't be just doing something different just
Yeah,
because,
doing
like,
stuff to be doing
yeah,
stuff.
do
You
it.
just
That's
be
all
doing
doing the
stuff like
most.
that.
But if it's authentic to
Yeah,
you, yeah,
just something authentic and something that's just you, that just oozes you.
yeah,
Yeah, go all out. Go all out. Yeah, Andre, you're right. He was in Port Arthur all the way
hmm
to, look,
yeah.
music is not the same anymore.
No, it's global too. So here's a comment. This is a woman. Her son is the talent here, and she D Lovely, and she said, my son's biggest issue is his exposure. Beautiful voice. He admits to not posting a lot. I told him you have to stay consistent in putting your voice out there. Am I guiding him in the right direction?
Yeah, but you also gonna have to tap the map. I think a lot of times people get comfortable staying where they're at and, hide behind the screen, the computer screen. I tap the map. When artists say they want a song, if it's in California, I'm flying to California. If it's in Atlanta, you need to actually start and network. And I think consistency is always the thing, but you have to network outside of your normal circle too. That's the only way the circle gonna get bigger.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And then, you know, I would also say this too. Everyone that makes art isn't seeking to be famous. So I just want to throw it out there. And I don't know the situation with you and your son, and maybe this is his passion, but maybe put the music to the side for a second and just have a mom-son conversation. Son, what do you want to get out of this? You know, I think sometimes for us, because we see potential in people, I'm a person who sees tremendous, I'm a glass half full person. I could see the potential in everybody. And I look and I'm like,
Everything.
ooh, if you just do this, you get this, blah, 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 blah. But you also have to understand that as much potential that I see in you, if you can't see it and want it for yourself, it does not matter how much I see for you. You have to want it for yourself, because ultimately I can want it for you and I can do as much as I can do. But if you're not tapping in and creating that energy for yourself, it's not going to manifest. So I would also say, and just throwing it out there, because I see you in here and you're trying to get this game, maybe just put the music to the side. You and your son take a ride out to the park, sit down and just have a real for real convo. Hey son, what do you want to get out of this? Maybe your son, and maybe not, but maybe your son just likes to make music and not seeking the notoriety, the fame, the this, the that. It's a possibility. So, you know, just double back when you're talking, you know, about, to your son, because if he's not doing the things organically to be successful, then
Then that might not be
might
him.
not
Yeah.
be, you know, it might be something else that he's seeking, some other itch he needs to scratch. So let's see, I'm just scrolling for questions here. Let's see, they see the jewelry, the money, and people. Oh, yeah, people always misunderstand. The richest people in the room are not always the one looking like the richest people in the room.
No, I've worked for a very wealthy man. He didn't have one brand. He didn't have a Benz for one. He didn't have a brand new car. I want to sell my house right now, Terry. He didn't buy, his house is a little bigger. It's a lot bigger than my house, but he didn't buy this type of house till he was 80. Like, he invested his money, made sure his grandkids could do whatever they wanted to do, his kids can do. He was looking out for generation wealth. I learned a lot from him. Mr. Thompson, that owned all the market baskets from here to, I learned so much business from him. And that's what I'm saying, building them solid relationships with different people. And you see, I have the THC infused barbecue sauce, and I got CBD. Now I have a relationship with a man that owns 50-something grocery stores. Building solid relationships.
Yeah, and not limiting yourself. My favorite, one of many, but one of my favorite things about you is that you are open to all cultures, all music. You have a genuine curiosity and appreciation for cultures and for people and for
Yeah,
others.
I'm so intrigued.
And
I'm intrigued.
and you can flow between so many different rooms. You could be in a boardroom. You could be over here at a rock show. You could be over here at a hip hop show. You could be in the studio.
Snowboard, skateboard. Yeah, I
We could
love
be sitting
skateboarding.
around having some iced tea, talking about whatever. I mean, so be open-minded to others. I always tell artists, if you really want to be an artist, part of being a great artist is also being able to be a great performer. See shows from all kinds of people, different genres of music, different types of artists. Experience as much as you can, because it'll teach you. You can take something from seeing this rock show over here. You could take something from seeing Celine Dion over here. You could take something from seeing, Marilyn Manson over here. You can take a little bit of something.
Yep.
There's something to be learned by opening your mind and being interested in having different experiences. I think that can help inform your art in so many ways.
I think I don't know if a lot of people know this, but that's even with Chad. I still get Wolfgang. You know them 1-800. You know Wolfgang shows.
Yes.
Chad listen to funk, folk music. I've seen him mix reggae, gospel, and zydeco in one song. So, like, again, that will sharpen, especially in the music, production wise. Again, production, any artist, I say this much, I beg of y'all. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna say it out loud. I do be looking at people funny when you've been in the business for 20 years and you ain't figured out how to produce a chord. That ain't smart.
Yeah.
That's lazy. I'm just gonna say it. That's lazy. I'm sorry. It's lazy.
I would say humble yourself to know what you don't know and make some effort to learn. And I think that's, as an artist, you are the CEO of your business. You're the CEO. I had and I won't name drop because who cares, right? But I had a very strong conversation actually this week about an artist who unfortunately, there have been some arrangements made for the artist, interviews, simple stuff, not hard stuff, interviews, appearance here, there, whatever. It's just a general conversation. And so the artist didn't show up, right? And so the excuses people want to give you is, oh, well, their team. And I was like, no. You have to understand it all comes back to the artist. You are the CEO of your business, and your team, you get credit for your team, but your team, you run your team, and you have to be invested in your team, and you have to understand you don't get the luxury to just be the artist to sit back and chill. And you don't.
If you do, you're gonna be broke and crying.
Yeah, and used and abused. Yes.
Yep, that's it.
You've got to take control of your career and be humble enough to know what you don't know and be willing enough to learn the things that you don't. Ask questions.
I try to learn something new every day. I'm playing with these engineers too, because that's something you should know. So I notice too, a lot of producers don't know what engineers know. So I'm trying to play on both sides because it's always hiccups with music, from hard drives to something else to something else.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it would be wise for you to try to pick up as many trades as you can, or at least things that you can understand. Because you know what? I had another thing, certain producers would tell me, no, you can't do that. And I'll go to another producer and they do it. So you get what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things. Even on getting your own music, if you don't know enough, somebody could be taking your music and keeping copies. I watch everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I'm not leaving it with nobody. I'm watching you. So I think, yeah, that's the easy way. People can wipe you out just like that, not knowing because you just don't know.
Yeah, not paying attention. So listen,
Yeah.
our time is coming to a close. Any parting words for everybody?
Keep it trill, everybody. Tune in to more free game because she gives me free game too. Support Terry and 97.9. I want to thank y'all for always supporting me through all my craziness. And thank you for having me this morning.
Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your light. And you know how much love I got for you. So
Yes. Let's do this again. I have an announcement later on.
okay, we will do it again for sure. So for everybody, remember this happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the box. You can always follow Chinara Butler. I've tagged her Instagram down here. Please check out allthingstrill.com so you can check out some of the merch. If you'd like, you can follow me. I'm at Terri Thomas, and I actually do free game on my Instagram as well. So you're more than welcome to come over and check out some of those sessions. Like Sunday, I'm doing an interesting one about building your home studio, the ins and outs of building a home studio. So I'm a veteran producer engineer for here in Houston. So that should be pretty interesting. But nonetheless,
I think you know what? Call me after this too, because I think I have a female. I love the females. I have a female that I think you should talk to that built her own studio too.
and then we're going to do it. So I love it. So, okay, wonderful. Well, Box family, I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks so much for checking us out, and we'll catch you next Tuesday and Thursday. Bye, y'all.
See you later.